Good evening. I'm Sherilyn Hutton of the League of Women Voters of Humboldt County. The League is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League does not endorse candidates or political parties. Because of the pandemic, all League candidate forums are on Zoom this fall, and all candidates have received Zoom invitations and passcodes for their specific forum. League members will host, moderate, and time the forums, and only they and the candidates will participate in the Zoom session. This forum is being recorded and will be aired for anyone to view on Access Humboldt, YouTube, and the League Facebook page. Links to the recorded forums and schedules will be advertised and made available to the public by the League. This video recording is the property of the League of Women Voters of Humboldt County. The link to the video may be shared, but no portion may be used for promotional or advertising purposes by candidates or organizations. And I would ask that you be understanding as we are Zooming from homes, and you might hear a dog bark, you might hear children running around playing, you might even hear one of my neighbors drumming. Also, if you've participated in other Zoom events, you know that there are occasional technical glitches, but we will take care of that and we will continue. Tonight, the League presents the candidates for election to the Humboldt Community Services District. The candidates for 3 positions are David Saunderson, incumbent, Heidi Benzonelli, Michael Hansen, David Haynie. Josh Sehung contacted us shortly before we went on the air this evening to say he had an emergency meeting. So now we will begin with the opening statements. And the first opening statement will be from you, David Haynie.
Thank you. Thank you all for your time. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for facilitating this event. You're helping to keep democracy alive right now, and I am personally very thankful. I am obviously running for Humboldt Community Services District along with the other people at this event. I have lived in Humboldt County for 17 years. I graduated Humboldt State University, class of 2009, with my degree in business with an emphasis in accounting. I have worked at my current job for about 11 years this month, actually, with a local corporation. And I have been politically active for about 10 years on the board of directors of a local legal defense fund, and currently a member of the NAACP, as well as the interim secretary of the Human Rights Commission. I'd like to help this board reach out to the community and establish better lines of communication with the community and reach better community satisfaction. Thank you.
Our next opening statement will be from Heidi Benzonelli.
Hello, everybody. My name is Heidi Benzonelli, and I'm running for Humboldt Community Services District Board. I've lived here in the district for 37 years. I have a degree in environmental engineering and a degree in an MBA, Master's of Business Administration. Both degrees are from HSU and both earned while I established my professional credibility. I worked at the Manila Community Services District, where I updated the capital improvement plan, wrote the local hazard mitigation plan, developed a cross-connection control program, and worked on a grant for a new water tank. I'm most well known as the president of the board for the West Side Community Improvement Association, and we are the group of neighbors who organized and renovated the abandoned Jefferson Elementary School. This was not a small feat. It was a giant network of neighbors, businesses, and others that work to improve the livability of our neighborhood. Although my work has been on the west side, I've always lived out here in Cutton, and I've been watching this board, and I'm interested in the upcoming planning and projects. So when the election came around, I decided to give it a run.
Thank you. Now we will hear an opening statement from David Saunderson.
Can you hear me now?
Now, yes.
Okay, I think I was on mute, but I'm here now. I'm a 67-year-old retired building contractor. I was born and raised in Eureka. My wife and I have lived within the district for 47 years. We also have 2 adult children and 5 grandchildren that also live in the district. Prior to my 9 years with this board, I was on the Crusader Athletic Board, Babe Ruth Board, Ruth Lake Leaseholders Board, and I've served with the leaseholders and the Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District in the quagga prevention programs and the Water Resource Task Force.
Thank you. We will now hear an opening statement from Michael Hansen.
Hello, everybody. My name's Michael Hansen. I'm the water professional. I lived in Humboldt County for 24 years. I moved up here in 1996 to go to HSU and graduated in 1999 with a Bachelor of Science degree in biology and zoology. I have worked in environmental labs and wastewater treatment and water treatment for 19 going on 20 years now. I'm currently the Deputy Public Works Director for the City of Eureka, in charge of utility operations. That puts me as the manager of the water treatment and wastewater treatment plants in the City of Eureka. I'm passionate about water and wastewater. I'm the guy who ends up talking about the sewer at dinner, so I apologize for that, but this is really something that is very important to me. And I think I have the experience and the knowledge set to give a different perspective and a different point of view on the HCSD board. And thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll start with the questions. Heidi Benzonelli, you will have the first response. These are from the public. Do you have any concerns about the restoration of the Ridgewood Tower? Can't hear you.
Unmute.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
It isn't something that's on my radar. I've put in a couple public records requests acts to learn more, but since the office is closed, although I've driven by and I've seen it being built, at least the one at the Community Services District, the new tank up at Ridgewood is not on my radar.
Thank you. David Saunderson, do you have any concerns about the restoration of the Ridgewood Tower?
Well, I keep having to unmute myself. I don't have any reservations. We live fairly close to the towers at the Redwood Fields, so they seem to be fine. So I have none.
Okay. And how about you, David Haynie? Do you have any concerns about the restoration of the Ridgewood Tower?
I do not have any concerns about that from the discussions that I've had with people in the community. It's something that people are looking forward to. And I haven't heard any dissenting voices. So I have no concerns myself.
Thank you. And on to Michael Hansen. Do you have any concerns about the restoration of the Redwood Tower?
No, I don't have any concerns. I believe infrastructure renewal is very important. It doesn't help to have cheap rates if you have failing infrastructure. So I'll always support the infrastructure renewal that's needed. And I've talked to a lot of the staff about what their plans are with this, and it sounds like they have a good plan in place to keep water service going to the customers. So no concerns here.
Okay, thank you. The next question will begin with you, David Saunderson. With the passing of Board Member Scolari, would you be interested in a temporary replacement until the position can be on a regular ballot?
Yes, that would be fine. Greg Gardner just come on and he had a replacement from one of our board members just a couple of weeks ago. So I think it's only going to give him 3 meetings, probably 3 to 4 meetings. So I don't really have a problem with it. I don't think it shows any favoritism one way or the other. The people still have to vote, and so I don't have a problem with it.
Thank you. Going on to you, Michael Hansen.
No, I appreciate that they're putting that opportunity out there, and I have applied for the temporary position as well. I think, you know, the way I heard it put in the last board meeting was, you know, it's what Frank would have wanted. And I can, you know, I have a lot of respect for somebody who's put as much time and effort into the district as he did. So if that's what Frank would have wanted, then let's move it forward, and the people will vote in November.
Thank you. Heidi Benzonelli, over to you.
How's that? I'm not applying for the position, but I am running, and I'm running to be elected. I'm running to be elected by the constituents. This is an elected position, and the idea is that the board really needs to represent the diversity of our community. If we fill this board with developers and real estate agents, then the land is going to get developed and real estate's going to get sold. If you fill the board with environmentalists, then the forest, fish, and water are going to be protected at all costs. But in reality, our community is a mix of these interests. And electing boards is about diverse representation. And being an elected is about having an open mind and representing the diversity of our community. I don't want to be distracted by this appointment, so I'm going to run, and I'm going to run hard.
David Haynie, how about you? Would you be interested in a temporary replacement until the position can be on a regular ballot?
Yes, I'm definitely interested in a temporary replacement. My concerns with that would be I'd be worried about anyone that's running currently filling that spot. It may potentially give a bit of a leg up that the rest of the candidates running might not have. I'd also like to echo what Michael said. I think it's important that we would honor Frank's wishes and put someone in the position in the limited amount of time that they're going to be on that board. I think that they could learn some things and support the community until the elected official is put in that seat. Thank you.
Thank you. And now our next question will begin with David Haynie. How would you make the HCSD's operations more open and democratic?
Thank you, and I appreciate that question. It's actually one of the main policy points that I'm running about. I would personally have a better community outreach, including a newsletter that went out to the public on at least a quarterly basis to keep the public apprised of what is happening with the board of directors and with the operations of the Community Services District. I'd also like to see a website that includes all of the board agendas on a consistent basis to make sure that people are apprised of exactly what issues are being addressed. I'd also like to see these board meetings available at a different time of the day and accessible by Zoom. This would make the public much more able to get involved, and it would make it more accessible to the board members as well. Yeah, there's other ways that we can look at outreach, but at least those electronic means are easy and cheap and effective. Thank you.
Thank you. And now to you, Michael Hansen. How would you make HCSD's operations more open and democratic?
I think you start with, pushing it out to the public, finding ways to get your meetings and events to the people that need to know about them. I recently was looking at the Times Standard and noticed a section that had all the community boards and councils and Board of Supervisor meetings listed, and there was lots of different groups, and HCSDs wasn't in that group. Another thing I've noticed is that if you go to the HCSD website right now and you click on the calendar, it's 2019's calendar. So that's not helping things, but it is very important for people to put in the effort. It's not going to help to move the meeting later or to put out notices if nobody shows up. So I really encourage the public to get involved. Things like rate increases have a long period of time that they happen, and they require public input. So make sure you get involved, and if I'm on the board, I'll make sure that those notices are out there and available for you.
Thank you. Now to you, David Saunderson. How would you make HCSD's operations more open and democratic?
Well, we are working on the website to put our agenda on it as we speak, so that should come up fairly soon. The time wise, we've kind of struggled back and forth with the time. I know a lot of, like Humboldt, the county theirs is very early in the morning, and so is Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District starts at 9 a.m. So we're kind of trying to fill everybody's seat. We start now at 5 p.m. So I think once we get the agenda on the website, we'll be good to go. We rarely have anybody at our meetings, so I think whatever we can do to get more public involved, we get maybe have one person, and that's about it. So
Thank you. And now to you, Heidi Benzonelli.
Well, for the last couple of months, that one person has been me. I would I update the website, but I also realize that somebody in the staff worked really hard on that website and probably has a lot of ownership. But I would like, if it's legal after the pandemic, to offer these meetings available by Zoom. Personally, I have found I'm able to go to planning commission meetings and lots of meetings I couldn't attend before by just being able to click off one computer, click on the other, and Zoom. So Zoom links to the meetings, if that's legal and available, easily available on the webpage. I think the telephone way that we're calling in is very difficult. People don't identify themselves as they speak. So unless you know the people on the board, it's kind of hard to follow. Also, I'm keeping my Facebook page open and alive and engaging my public to ask me questions. Let me know how you feel. My personal address and phone number are also listed. They're out there in the public, and I'm encouraging people to contact me. The deal is we're at the 2021 is 5 years for our.
And now over to you, Michael Hansen, for question 4. Now that the Board of Supervisors has voted to allow infilling in rural areas, sewers become a more important issue. Freshwater has had HCSD water for many years. What can you as a board member do to bring sewer services to this community?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know what the plans are or what's been worked on so far with that, but expanding infrastructure to people and getting them on a true sewer system is a huge benefit for the people and for the environment. It's there's a lot of septic tanks out there that are just, you know, the leach fields aren't right. Some of these things have been there for a long time. And I think it just helps everybody when you have true sewer system. I would do my due diligence and study the issue and try to understand what the ability of the district was to provide that service. But I think it would definitely be something that would be worthy for the people.
Thank you. And now to you, Heidi Benzonelli.
Unmute. I think I got it now. So I live in Cutton, and can you hear me? Am I unmuted?
No, you're fine.
Okay. I live in Cutton, and the sewer pipe in front of my home, I'm in a 1961 tract home. Sewer pipe in front of my house is over 60 years old and it's terracotta. On our end, the pipes end really high. So I would ask the staff that works there at the Community Services District, what's the potential to be able to, what do we need to do? But frankly, not having sewer and water treatment is really third world, so it needs to happen. But I don't know what kind of condition our Community Services District is in right now to make that happen. That would be something I'd have to rely on the expertise of staff, but I would like to see us at least offer sewer to the residents that we can reach with our infrastructure.
Thank you. And now, David Haynie, your response, please.
Thank you. I believe that a true sewer system is absolutely necessary. One of the people that just recently said, you know, we want to make sure that we have first world level plumbing out to our communities, basically. I think that it's a priority. And I think that that type of infrastructure development is a priority over other annexations and projects that have been discussed and moved forward upon in the last few years that have led to 2 rate increases in the last 3 years. I think that we need to prioritize the right infrastructure moves and move forward on them if it's possible for the Community Services District to do so. Thank you.
And now to you, David Saunderson. You need to unmute.
How's that? Better?
That's better.
Okay. This subject came up about 3 years ago for the Indian. We were going to offer to expand the Indianola out to Indianola in that area. We had several meetings, probably 5 or 6 public meetings where they could offer their opinion. And they overwhelmingly voted it down because they didn't want the hookup fees, and so many people thought that their septic tanks were working fine, and they didn't want to incur the extra cost. But it would be nice to get all of that together, and sewer is a wonderful thing.
Thank you. And David Saunderson, you're going to be the first responder to the next question. As a board member, will you advocate for increased street lighting?
You know, we do have a program for lights, but we don't really get into it at all. I think that's something that should be left up to PG&E. We don't really deal with it at all. I think we get a grant from the county or the state, and that's the only reason we have as little as we do.
Okay. And David Haynie, how about you? On the issue of street lights.
Thank you. I think that this is something that if the Community Services District is getting money for, I think that we need input from the community on this. And I'd like to see input from people that feel they need more street lighting and lighting in their areas to come forward and basically claim that money, because if that money's coming to us, we need to make sure that it's being utilized for the people appropriately. So I would want to listen to the voices in the community on this one. Thank you.
Thank you. And now over to you, Heidi Benzonelli.
So the street lighting has probably been studied by your Safe Routes to School community committees. So I would reach out first to the Safe Routes to School committees to find out what they found out about safety by environmental design and the lighting issues. So I bet you some community work has already been done in a lot of the district areas. So we want to find out what the desire of the community was, and then I would hold PG&E to task, where PG&E is responsible for having lighting if it is appropriate, and this is what the community desires. I would advocate to try and build that network and build that that collaborative partnership to get them to pay for what's rightfully theirs to pay for. It isn't something that would be solely, that I think would lay solely on the Community Services District, nor should it lay on the ratepayers. I think there's probably collaborative funding out there if it's the desire of the community to get that done.
Thank you. And over to you, Michael Hansen.
I'm all for more streetlights, but I don't know that the Humboldt Community Services District is the one who should be footing a bill for this. My understanding is that there's some property tax money that comes to the district, and that's mostly used to pay for the electric bill that's incurred with the lights. You know, I could be off on that a little bit, but I don't think there's a lot of funding for that. And water and sewer rates can't go to fund anything other than the water and sewer processes. So I'm not sure where that money would come from. But like I said, I would support having more streetlights and having it be a little brighter out there in the darkest times.
Thank you. And our next question then, we'll begin with David Haynie. And the question is, what changes or improvements within HCSD would you advocate for and push for during your term if elected?
Thank you for this question. I actually want to refer back to the policy points that I have on my website, which include lower rates, lower fees, and more transparency. And I already spoke to earlier in this meeting about a bit about the transparency and reaching out to the community. When it comes to lower fees, I think that right now we need to look at adopting a low income ratepayer assistance program. I think that the people have been overlooked for quite some time. Meanwhile, the Humboldt Community Services District Board pays themselves $100 per meeting per hour that don't often even extend to a full hour's time. And I think that we have things that we can look at to be able to help reallocate and support the community and support low-income housing households right now as they actually need it with this COVID disaster that we're all suffering through. Thank you.
Thank you. And now to you, David Saunderson. What changes or improvements within the district would you advocate for and push for if you were reelected?
Well, first thing, I would like to get the Martin Slough going. We've got between us and the city, we have a lot of money tied up in the Martin Slough project, and we have very few of the pump stations eliminated. So I'm really pushing to get some more of those pump stations eliminated. Next thing, we need to get our reserves built up to eliminate some of the pass-through charges that we've had to occur. The city in Humboldt Bay, we buy our water and they do our sewer, so we're kind of at their mercy. As we foot half the bill. So those are a couple of things. I think we let's see. I think people need to get more involved, and I've pushed through for all of our members to do ride-along programs with the superintendent, Tim, to know what the infrastructure is like, where the pump stations are, where the big water tanks are, how they work, the wells that.
Okay, thank you very much. Heidi Benzonelli, please, over to you.
Okay, so first I'd like to see more community engagement, and we talked about ways that could happen. In 2021, we're going to have a rate study because we're at the end of that 5-year plan, and we're going to have a connection fee study. The community just needs to be actively engaged in that. If the community in those rate studies support it, I would love to see a rate structure that would give the perks for conservation and also may address our low income or elderly members who may be deserving of a rate deduction.
Thank you.
I guess I'll stop.
And now Michael Hansen.
So I would support infrastructure renewal in all sectors with an eye towards renewable energy and climate resilience projects. This stuff needs to be taken care of sooner rather than later. Emergency projects cost a lot more money and tie up and cause, you know, a cascading effect by tying up the funds. The other thing is focusing on the needs of the ratepayers. It's you got to get them involved. They've got to be involved, and they got to give us their input on what they need or what they feel needs to happen. But the rates are very difficult. There's a lot of state laws that impact how rates are figured out. And there's a good news. The EPA has just released a draft document that will allow for a new way of calculating what a community can bear. And it used to be based on median income only, and now they're realizing that there's more to it than that.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to our next question, and it's lengthy, so I'm going to read it first. David Haynie, you will be the first responder. What changes or improvements within HCSD do you see serving the greatest good for HCSD residents? What evidence makes you believe this is for the good of the whole and not for just a small segment of the community? Everyone
Thank you.
get that? Okay, David.
Thank you for that question. And it's an important question. Right now, I think that there are important infrastructure needs that the community needs to be addressing right now. I think that the households need help that are most susceptible to losing their service and not being able to get it turned back on because of a high reconnection fee. You know, that could mean the difference between a family with children having service, having water service, and not having water service. I think that if we look to the people and figure out what important infrastructure needs we're going to prioritize and how we're going to help the people, that's the approach that I really think that the community services district needs to be moving forward with. I think that's how we need to be moving forward, looking at the people, getting the people involved, as has been said, and working for the people. Thank you.
Thank you. David Saunderson, your response.
Okay, the bottom line is everything costs money. It's nice to we have kind of a wish list on what we need to do. Like we just painted the tank out in front. That costs a lot of money. We just purchased a camera to go down the sewers. You're right. We have a lot of our infrastructure that is 60 years old, but it all takes a whole bunch of money, and that's the bottom line. Is money. We hate to keep increasing rates because that's that doesn't get people elected. But
Okay. Thank you. Michael Hansen.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes, I could. What changes or improvements within HCSD do you see serving the greatest good for HCSD residents? What evidence makes you believe this is for the good of the whole and not just for a small segment of the community?
Right. I support all the infrastructure renewal that needs to happen right now. Water and wastewater is focus number one. The primary goal of the district is, the district's dedicated to providing high quality, cost effective water and sewer service to the customers. So we got to start there. Expansions and developments, I believe new expansions and new developments need to be funded by the contractors and not by the ratepayers. They're going to make their money on the back end of it. So we can't burden we can't burden all the ratepayers with that sort of expansion. I think the sort of expansion we need to do is like what we talked about with Freshwater needing sewer service. Let's get the sewer service to where there's houses already built. If there is new housing, though, it's got to include some low-income housing. We got to get more housing out there that's available to the people. It doesn't help if we just build high-cost houses.
Thank you. Over to you, Heidi Benzonelli.
I'm unmuted now. So capital improvement planning is of utmost importance. This is knowing what the infrastructure that we've got. Listen to the guys that work in the trenches. They absolutely know what's going to break and when it's going to break. Prioritize this work. Listen to the workers. A lot of these guys have been here for a long time and they know what's going wrong. Energy efficiency is huge. When you pump water, you use energy. Energy is water. Water is energy. So every opportunity that we have to partner with PG&E and partner with the Redwood Coast Energy Authority for energy efficiency and conservation. We are metering our sewer right out there by the water tank in Cutton. And if we have inflow and infiltration going in there, we are paying for that, even if it's rainwater. So addressing leaks, listening to the people, energy efficiency and renewable energy, and focus on what we've got that's broken first. Prioritize the work that we need to get done.
Thank you. David Saunderson, you'll be the first responder to this question, and it's another rather long one. What does integrity mean to you? And what measurements of accountability do you use in order to ensure that you are acting with integrity?
Integrity is, to me, is not taking a position for or against anybody, being fair to everybody, practicing the 218, not giving. I would say it's having everybody an equal chance, not supporting a construction project, not supporting a contractor because he's your best friend, and just telling the truth.
Thank you. Heidi Benzonelli, what's your response to that?
Tell the truth. Absolutely tell the truth. I listen to my moral compass, really in a meditative state. Listen, if something doesn't feel right, if you get that icky feeling in your stomach or have an internal struggle, ask yourself why. Try and be forthright, and then also share your feelings and your decision-making with other people. Bounce it off of other people and people that you trust that will call you on it if you're starting to sway from the truth and what's right.
Thank you. Over to you, Michael Hansen.
Integrity is very important in the line of work that I come from water quality labs, environmental labs, all the way through to wastewater reporting and NPDES permit reporting. I'm responsible for reporting every month all the data that's collected for the wastewater plant, and we are required to self-report any violations. That's the ultimate level of integrity right there, is having to report yourself for making mistakes and having violations. And that's something I have to do sometimes on a monthly basis, but it's something that's very important to me. And if you can't believe somebody, or you can't trust what they do when other people aren't looking, then it's hard to work with that sort of person.
Thank you. David Haynie, your response, please.
Thank you. Integrity actually is very important to me. I would personally say that integrity includes having the consciousness to know, as a part of your decision-making process, are you serving your own needs or the needs of people around you rather than the needs of the greater good? Are you listening to the ratepayers and the people that you're serving and represent to make sure that your actions follow in step with their values and goals? And I want to add that integrity actually also comes easily for me because I personally don't have any business entrepreneurial investments in this community in the form of construction, any businesses that would profit or serve to benefit in any way from being on this board. I am completely a person of the people that is looking to go on this board and support getting the people involved and having them have a fresh look at what's going on and see how we can move this board forward for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Heidi Benzonelli, you're going to be the first responder on the next question. Do you see any role for HCSD in helping ameliorate the disastrous effects of climate change we are experiencing in California?
Oh, absolutely. As I mentioned before, energy and renewable energy is key. These are, if we can offset the greenhouse gas emissions from the operations, we're doing our part. Making sure that we're not polluting the water, that inflow and infiltration is addressed, that our bays are protected, that our waterways are protected. That we are addressing septic tanks that may be leaking and outreaching and trying to fix that where we can. I think we all need to be good stewards of the environment. There is no planet B. This is all we have, and water and wastewater is such a huge key of taking care of the planet.
Thank you. Michael Hansen, please, your response.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes, I can. Do you see any role for HCSD in helping ameliorate the disastrous effects of climate change we are experiencing in California?
Absolutely. I believe that all new projects moving forward need to take into effect climate change and be climate resilient to make sure that, you know, we're not wasting money putting infrastructure that's going to be flooded before the end of the useful life of the equipment or the infrastructure. So I will definitely always work towards that sort of project, and especially looking for grant money for that sort of thing. There's a lot of grant money right now for backup battery systems, and I know just about every municipality in the area is working right now with contractors getting these no-cost battery backup systems, and HCSD is not going through the process right now. And I feel like that they're really missing out on, you know, anytime we can get some free money to put towards our infrastructure, we need to grab it.
Thank you. David Saunderson, over to you, please.
Okay, the county codes, we've kind of left that up to as far as the energy goes. We have put a lot of money and time into Martin Slough. That is kind of our high priority now, is getting the Martin Slough interceptors going. That will eliminate very problematic pumps. I think we have 12 pumps and the city has 5 or 6 pumps. So we need to get those up and running.
Thank you. David Haynie.
Thank you. I actually think that we live in an area where we have this great benefit of a wealth of knowledge and people that are extremely actively knowledgeable about climate change. And I think that we can look to the important and things that we have done right in Humboldt County to address climate change. Look at what the Arcata Marsh has done to address wastewater. I think that we can long-term develop a vision that really addresses climate change on this board, including the sea level rise. And I think that if we move forward on the right infrastructural needs, we can also care about the environment while caring about people in our communities that need support. We have to develop the right vision to move forward and address Mother Nature and address the people.
Thank you. Moving on, David Haynie, once again, you will be the first responder to this. How will you ensure civility at all HCSD board meetings?
Thank you. And I think that's an important question. Personally, I think that this is a board that actually has the power to really make some change in this community. And I think that's been unbeknownst to the community. And I think that if we can get the right voices on this community services district board, we can move forward on the right action plan. In order to make sure there's civility, personally, I can't speak for anyone else, but I myself am a very excellent communicator. I know how to collaborate with multiple different people from multiple different types of backgrounds. And I have a very pragmatic approach where I like to listen to people and then speak to them in a way that's going to get their buy-in. So that way we can have collaboration and make plans and move forward with them rather than get stuck on, you know, what should or shouldn't be. Because right now we do need to look at what we need to stop and what we need to move forward on that the community wants us to move forward on.
Thank you. David Saunderson, over to you, please.
You know, we don't always, as the board, we don't always agree, but we are not a partisan board at all. So Desiree just left, and she was like the first female we've had on for years, and we all got along. She was a great partner for us. So I just think we just need to move forward and realize that we're not always going to agree on everything, and everybody's going to have a different opinion.
Thank you. Heidi Benzonelli, your response?
So this is a professional board. You don't always have to agree to get along. And there's absolutely no reason not to be civil. I'm on another board that this one is governed by the Brown Act. So you do have that majority rule voting. But in our board, what we always try and do is we try and reach a consensus. And what that takes is really asking the others, why do you feel that way? And try and finding common ground, because by investigating and finding out why somebody disagrees with you, sometimes you get a little bit of light of maybe another side and you can move a little bit toward their direction. So trying to reach consensus, respecting people, opening up your heart, opening your mind, and listening to why they disagree, and then seeing if we can both move toward common ground.
Thank you. Michael Hansen, your response to that?
Yeah, it's all about respect. I think everyone on a board like this, you know, typically will show respect to each other, and it's also respecting the ratepayers, understanding that sometimes there's passions and people get passionate about issues. I think just having an open ear and listening and hearing what the people want to say and what they need to say oftentimes goes a long way. And you know, working together to find common ground, common solutions for the problems. We've got one goal here, and it's water and wastewater services for the community. So we've all got to check our egos at the door and just work towards that common goal. And I think the civility will be there.
Thank you. And Michael Hansen, you will be the first responder on the next question. What strategies should be considered to mitigate the effects of sea level rise in the district?
Well, I know one thing that's difficult is, you know, anything that's right down on the coast is has the Coastal Commission's eye on it, and they're not real keen on renewing infrastructure in areas that are subject to, you know, inundation from sea level rise. So we've got to identify those things that are in bad places and find an exit strategy to get out. There are, you know, there's a lot of stuff at the Eureka wastewater plant that's being revised and dealt with right now in response to that. There's the water board is requiring that sort of thing to be taken into effect with future planning and development. So we have a nice climate document that's been worked up for the city. And I know that HCSD can access a lot of this same data and figure out, you know, where the problems are, and we can devise a strategy to get out.
Thank you. And David Saunderson, how would you respond to that?
We haven't really got into the sea level rise much in any of our meetings, but I will say we have 2 wells that are right at sea level at Spruce Point by the radio tower. So we're going to have to start addressing that fairly quickly.
And Heidi Benzonelli, your response?
So part of our district is Fields Landing, King Salmon, areas that are definitely going to be impacted. So I think really looking at the infrastructure we have that's very likely to be impacted, making sure that it's safe, working collaboratively with the Coastal Commission to be able to address the infrastructure improvement that needs to be addressed. You're not going to be able to move king salmon uphill, but you can make sure that things don't leak. The Spruce Point pumping station, that's pretty darn close. Of course, working collaboratively with the Eureka Wastewater Treatment Plant, Criminy. Sewer runs downhill and it runs to sea level. So eventually our discharge point is going to be higher. And so we've got to take these things into account, really respect those guys that have been working on these pipes and working in these trenches, because they are the ones who are going to tell you what we need to prioritize and address.
Thank you. This will be our last question because we need to have time for your closing statements. So this question deals with...
Excuse me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
No worries.
Haynie, I want you to answer that question about sea level rise. Go for it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I actually think that this is a very important priority. Having numerous friends in Fields Landing, this has become an issue that people have really relegated themselves to, and there's a level of just hopelessness that it's not going to get addressed. And I want to bring it back to what David Saunderson said earlier, that there's 2 wells that are at sea level right now. And so this is not a problem that's going away. That's basically, the canary in the coal mine could have been our local ratepayers that are, having flooding in their backyard and having to walk through flooding, just to get into their house. So I think that this is an important piece of the plan that needs to be addressed moving forward with the Community Services District. We have to address making sure that everyone's listened to, and that this sea level rise issue can be adequately dealt with for the good of the entire bay. Thank you.
Thank you. And David Haynie, you will be the first responder for our final question. There is a new director, general manager at the HCSD. What issues or directions would you want the new director to address?
Thank you. I appreciate that question. I actually have had conversations with some of the people at the Community Services District Board, including people that have worked there for over 30 years. And this new incoming gentleman that is known by TK, he's very well liked, and I think that he has the ability to move forward on some of the important issues that we spoke about tonight, which would include changing the communication methods to the community and getting better, more consistent website, more consistently updated website, so that way the people are able to figure out what's going on and get more involved. I think that he's actually able to move forward and help the community and help the board get those outreach initiatives and getting moved forward on and getting the community more involved. And so I'm really excited to have that fresh set of eyes, and that's also a fresh vision for the Community Services District Board.
Thank you. And now over to you, Michael Hansen.
Yeah, new general manager, TK Williams, is someone I've known professionally for probably eight or 9 years now. We served together on the North Coast section of the California Water Environment Association Board. I know he's a great guy. I know he's full of energy and passion for water and wastewater, much like me. It's nice to be around people like that. And I think, I think he's very keen on renewable energy and climate resilience, that sort of thing. So definitely pushing those that vision when upgrades and repairs are happening is very important. And then also just the improved transparency and communication. But just prioritize that with staff, that that's what the people want. The people want to know a little bit more about what's going on. So with his position and our guidance, I think that we can make that happen.
Thank you. David Saunderson.
Okay, the new board member is Greg Gardner, and he's actually not new because he was on our board for several years before he was voted off last time. But he did a great job when he was a board member, and I think he'll do great. TK, I talked to him for probably an hour the other day, and I was very impressed with him. He's got it down, and he's got experience from working in Southern Humboldt. We talked about he's almost an engineer and will probably get his engineering license, which will be very cost effective for our engineering. We spend a lot of money, way too much money on engineering and consulting right now. And once he gets that stamp, it'll save us a lot of money. But he's gonna be a great asset.
Thank you. And now Heidi Benzonelli.
So TK is a graduate of the Environmental Resources Engineering program at Humboldt State. He's highly respected throughout the community. One thing we really learned at Humboldt State is the value of working in an interdisciplinary team. I want to let him know first and foremost, I'm here to help. If there's something that I can do, a way I can be of assistance, looking for grants, looking for building partnerships, building networks, that's what I'm good at, and that's what I'm here to help with. And if we do move forward into any housing developments that are outreaching into our forests, to work collaboratively to get the power lines buried underground. I do not want to see another forest fire due to power lines, due to branches hitting power lines. And I'm a board member who's willing to go out there and do that work on my own time and provide that information back to the great new GM.
Thank you. And it is now time for closing statements. We'll begin with you, David Saunderson.
Okay. I would like to see us get more people involved, like we all would, and I'd like to see the board members get more involved also. I've been on several ride-alongs with our crew, and I've learned how all of the infrastructure works and what it takes to. So I'm on the same page of what they're going through and the struggles they are having to deal with. But the bottom line is all of this infrastructure we've been talking about takes a lot of money. So we got to come up with the money that the ratepayers aren't going to go crazy about it. I mean, everything has gone up. Wages have gone up. We just got to find a way to make money that we don't have to put it back on the ratepayers. That's the bottom line.
Thank you. And now your closing statement, Heidi Benzonelli.
If I'm elected, I promise to govern respectfully with an open mind and with an open door, to represent the needs of our community, the ratepayers, and respect the opinion and the expertise of staff. I'll assure that to the best of my ability, that the diversity of our community is reflected in the decisions that we make. I bring network building and collaborative energy to the board, and I promise always to work hard and to do my best.
Thank you. Michael Hansen, your closing remarks.
I just really want to focus the district on the water and wastewater needs of the ratepayers. I'll always approach things with a scientific and fact-based approach. I support workers and their collective bargaining rights. I support infrastructure renewal in all sectors. I want to make this system great again for us so that we can have this for our children. Water and wastewater are one of the greatest assets that we have for health and prosperity. And we need to realize that goal for everyone around here. And 60-year-old infrastructure is not going to help us out, and emergency repairs are always going to be more expensive. So a proactive approach with all the infrastructure needs and planning out good capital improvement plans for long-term goals is the approach I would take if I was elected. Thank you.
Thank you. David Haynie.
Thank you. I think that right now we have the chance to really get new energy on the Community Services District Board. And I think that the people are going to benefit from that. I think that I know that personally, I would approach things from the perspective of infrastructure, people, and environment, as we've spoken of tonight. We need to pull back on the development that has been moved forward on, that has increased our rates and bills over the last few years. And we need to move forward on the right infrastructure. We need to pull people in on this process, ratepayers in the community, and make sure that they, as stakeholders, have their voices heard. We need to do whatever we can to remove that bit of helplessness that people feel when their rates and bills are going up, and there's only so much that can be done about it. Let's get the people involved. Let's move forward on the right changes, and let's make sure that we're also, as a long-term plan, looking at addressing climate change and Mother Nature. We have to address this as a vision rather than just always being reactionary.
Thank you. As we conclude our forum tonight, I want to thank all of you candidates and for your willingness to serve on this board and for taking the time to answer questions from the public. And to the public, we appreciate you viewing this Zoom presentation. And remember to vote November 3rd. Make democracy work. Thank you.